I want a sandwich. Now. Oh, sandwich wench. Yo, wench. Sandwich. Now. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. I'm going to need a sandwich. A sandwich. A sandwich. Oh, sandwich wench. I want a sandwich. Sandwich.
Oh, that was a great way to start. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another political recap stream here on the Moisky Live channel. Joining me to talk about some stuff, I have no doubt, maybe some politics, is my scrumdiddlyumptious co-host, TrupsLP. Say hello, Trups. Perfect.
I almost forgot about it.
I would have been very disappointed in you.
Did you hear the panic?
I heard you go, ooh, and I thought, oh shit, what did I say? And then I heard the crack, and I was like, ooh, sexual.
No, that was my panic. No.
I still have my whiskey from earlier, so we're golden. And that was loud. Sorry, I can never balance the audio here. But if you do want to hear it any other time in a better setting, it'll be on Rumble and Spotify tomorrow, because I'm going to be working on shitloads of content tomorrow for all of you guys for December.
Oh, you know, funny thing about your content, you really should try harder, according to some people on Twitter.
This week at Twitter will be out as soon as YouTube approve it for monetization. It took them a week last time for last week's. They've hit the last 3 this week at Twitter's only. I don't know why, but I've put all that. You know the person I got blocked by, right? Yeah. Right. Well, I got Wildling in the chat, or Leona, to get all the screenshots of it for me, because I couldn't get the tweets. And Archive only individually archives one tweet now. So I got her to get all the screenshots, and I've done about a 9-minute segment in This Week at Twitter on that. Because I wanted to lay into the person who she was defending. People don't blindly defend me like this. And they certainly don't throw loads of money at me like that. I don't know if I'm a grifter, but I, for 8.5 years, have made videos. I sometimes stream a bit. But to be called a grifter, the thing is, if some other creator who only has 4 channels devoted to a fat bitch goes, yeah, that's what she does. If she wants to call me a grifter, that's fine. But I feel like you're using it just as an excuse to say the word grifter, so then I can't say it back, thinking that is plagiarism, or I can't say it because you said it first. Bitch, you made $250,000 from donations. Don't try and call me a grifter.
This is the F one, not the C one, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's what I thought. They changed their name, so I was like, this is really the same person. Okay.
Yeah, well, okay, so the one called French Fried Goral is the person who blocked me is defending.
Right.
FFG is the one that basically makes content all the time on Foodie Beauty on YouTube.
Got it.
She does other bits, yes, but she's so vitriolic, so aggressive about this, and I'm just like, bitch, I wouldn't put past you to suck on Foodie Beauty's ex's cock just to get a taste of what's been inside, he's been inside.
They just need a fat roll, man. Just, the little part that hangs over the fupa.
She'd buy the fupa sweat. Honestly, I'm sorry, but
Belle Delphine does not have a candle to hold to this such thing.
Took me a second. I was like, "Hang on, Belle Delphine." I remember the bathroom water. Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
I know Amaranth did that, didn't she? Anyway, how is Trups today? How is Trups?
I'm okay.
How was your last weekend adventures?
Love going to my LARP. My LARP event is an exciting time.
I'm glad you do.
Especially
you need it
in October.
Yeah, I get that. the spoopy season is a great season, and I need to start buying up sweets actually for trick or treaters.
I am doing that Sunday before my wife gets finishes her tattoo.
That's cool. I might do that tomorrow. I was thinking about getting a tattoo. I've been considering it.
My wife is getting the whole host of evolutions. She already did the line work. Now she's going in and getting it.
Oh, EV evolutions. Yeah, sorry, it took me a second.
Sorry.
No, it took me a second, and then I realized, and I was like, "That's cool. I love Pokemon." I'm reinstalling that on my Switch now because I need to redo them because the save files don't transfer over.
Oh, you can. There is a transfer way you can do it.
Tell me afterwards, or tell me at a later date when you're able, because I know you got to do stuff afterwards.
I will send you the thing. Yeah,
that's cool. I appreciate that because I don't want to lose my files.
True.
Although I might have already. They might be on the console if I'm lucky. I might have lost them already.
Anyway, we'll talk about it later.
Yeah. Anyway, so the one thing I'd like to start talking is something that's been happening for you guys. You finally have a speaker.
Yes.
And Leafeon is one of my favorites. So who is this person that's just been voted in? Who the fuck are they?
So funny story. Nobody really fucking knows. His name is Mike Johnson, and he is a representative from, I believe it was Louisiana.
Yeah, Louisiana. Because they got a new, isn't there a new governor in a state that's just gone blue?
I
saw it announced at the same time. It was announced at the same time, but I don't know who it is.
I can't recall specifically, but yes, we have a new speaker, and this is important because we have a lot of things that are going on right now that require some immediate attention from the House of Representatives. Of course, this is not necessarily all to put at the feet of Republicans, although it is our job to elect when the majority holds the thing. Like, we have to do that, right? We are expected to be, well, I say we, but I'm not a Republican. I'm a conservative, but still, we are lumped in together. Libertarians too.
That's because libertarians are, according to Democrats, too cowardly to simply vote Democrat.
Well, that, and if libertarians decide that they actually want to separate the vote out and actually go forward and vote for only our candidates, then we would essentially hand the elections to Democrats basically infinitely, and that's not what anyone wants to happen, because
some do, because they're too idealist to realize that if you have too much of a good thing, it actually becomes, or too much of a good thing in your mind, it becomes a negative because you'll never actually accomplish anything.
Yeah, that too. But yeah, so we have a new speaker. He's kind of an enigma. A lot of people don't know anything about him, and that's kind of okay.
How did he get chosen though if he's not known?
What I presume was that they ran down the list of people they would accept. So this was all done in a closed-door meeting. At the first closed-door meeting was going to be it was between Jim Jordan and the other guy, the Kevin McCarthy supporter. I can't remember his fucking name. Unimportant, because he dropped out and basically said, yeah, our people aren't together, and until we get together, I'm not playing this game. Which is, I guess, fine. But he basically dropped out of the race, so he's not important to this whole shtick.
Yeah.
Then they went through everyone from Byron Donalds to Gates to Jordan to a bunch of other random people. Finally, they settled on Mike Johnson.
Well, they got a speaker at least, I guess, yeah?
Yes.
I guess that's a win. And we know nothing about him, so that's also kind of good.
I actually think, yes, I think that's a good thing.
He can't appeal to too much to one side or the other.
Yes, and also, it's not like he comes with all that much baggage.
No?
Well, imagine somebody like, we're going to use a random example, but let's imagine somebody like AOC. Mm-hmm. AOC has a name for themselves. They have a lot of other things that they are known for. They are popular. They are in the media spotlight. If you had somebody like Gates, like Jordan, even like Adam Schiff, people like this who have like the media's attention, they're always doing interviews, that kind of thing. You have the danger that what you bring to the table is going to be tainted by your public image, and what people will see of you isn't going to be the thing that they want from the party, but rather something else entirely.
Okay, so I'm quickly looking him up. Apparently, he once won taxpayer funding for Noah's Ark Park. He uses his Christian beliefs as a litmus test for hiring decisions, which have also been dubbed anti-LGBTQI+.
I love that we keep changing how this acronym is formed, but
I've in this already. He's made comments about gay marriage. I assume in the negative if there's articles about it. Oh, hang on. He said legalizing gay marriage would lead to people marrying their pets and to PDF files demanding equal wedding rights.
Ironically, we have seen something like that, but that's a different story altogether.
Oh yeah, we're not going to do that on YouTube. Jeez. He also wrote a 45-page submission to the US Supreme Court arguing homosexual activity was a public health concern. He's got a point there with the pride stuff. But I haven't read the paper, so I cannot speak without the context. But on the face of it, it sounds quite amusing. Obviously, this is gonna. While he's passed unnoticed, just to be clear here, there are a lot of people in the House of Representatives. So no, we're not going to keep up with any of it. I don't keep up with any of them on purpose because I can't keep up with that shit.
Right.
It's a revolving door every 2 years.
Oh yeah, and it's not worth like really like delving too deeply into it. It's genuinely not. Because it's almost oh Jesus. I don't want to call it like farcical, but
it is.
To presume that it's anything but like, oh hey, we've got this person and they're gonna do a good job, everybody. I swear. 2 years later, they're like, I did something. Like one thing got passed while I was in office, but whatever. Off we go to the next thing. Bigger and better. There's zero consistency in the House. Unless you're Paul Ryan or Nancy Pelosi or any of those other media people that I mentioned. Which is its own problem again.
How so?
Just the other problem being that their goals are usually more about their career politician-ness.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We've had this
discussion. Know about this guy because he kind of flies under the radar, which makes me think that limelight really isn't his thing. Which is actually kind of nice by comparison.
Maybe that's for the best, but they have done a Sean Hannity interview already. Stephen Colbert's been calling him out, but then he calls out everyone that's Republican. And he needs ammunition for it. I'm quite intrigued to see what this guy does going forward, because we don't really know anything. As you and I both have said, we don't really know much about. I had to Google him quickly just to find out a few bits, and I can't speak from any level of authoritative position because I'll be honest, at this point, I know more about evolutions than I do about Mike Johnson.
I mean, that's not a bad thing. But yes, you're right. I mean, he is a person without a real sufficient like basis. Now, I know the articles are coming out and they're saying all of the different things about what they want to talk about.
Yeah.
Whether that be something like, oh hey, he's in a contractual marriage which allows for it restricts divorce options for the woman. And I'm like, okay, cool, awesome.
So, I just realized here the only reason it never occurred to me that the reason why he's flown under the radar for us is because he hasn't been a politician that long. Like
that's okay too.
Like House of Representatives in Louisiana, 2015 to 2017, 2017 to present. He's only been a congressman for 3 terms, 6 years. No wonder he's flown under the radar. He is 51.
I mean, still old enough to, be relevant.
True, but he's flown under the radar. which I guess makes sense in that respect. I mean, maybe that's the compromise they made when picking somebody. They picked somebody perhaps that was in a safe seat.
Yeah.
A safe seat in Louisiana. I don't know if that's the case or not.
Probably.
But then again, in his state, he's a member of the Christian right faction of the Republican Party. So I think he's in a safe seat if he's been voted like that. Because it just makes some sense to me. I think that's quite interesting. But then I do think if it is a compromise, that makes perfect sense, actually.
I think it tracks with the idea of compromise more so than more so than like, hey, this is a person who's ideologically aligned with us, and he will never break, our like.
So there is a point that
Yes,
because
but no.
there is a point that because they're unknown on the grander stage, as far as optics go, that they might be easier to bend backstage. But then this guy has known opinions on the 2020 election. He has known views on abortion, covenant marriage, Trump, evolution, immigration. Which actually no, I mean, I see here I've gone to a Wikipedia thing now. They reference Trump's executive order on the predominantly Muslim country ban. That's disingenuous because it didn't come from Trump originally.
Nor was it a specifically Muslim country ban.
Yeah,
because
no,
North Korea was on there too.
Yeah, it was. LGBT rights as well. He's got a fair few very firm. He's got. This is all going to get put through. His wife is. He's going to get a lot of attention. And just before I forget, hello YouTube chat. Hello Katie, Michael, Leona, Shadowband. We'll talk about that soon, I'm sure. Michael and Ragamuffin. Hope you're all well. Someone in the Shadowband, sorry, has put the didn't that dude plead guilty to pulling the fire alarm? I think you're referring to is it Jamal Bowman?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's something else because I've got some tweets on that and a video of him actually doing it, which is another subject of interest. Okay, so going forward for the House of Representatives, is the House okay now? Are they just going to carry on as business as usual now?
So hopefully, yes. Okay. I cannot promise anything because we all know that the House is infamous. I think would be a good word for oopsie daisying.
Notorious.
Yeah.
They shoot themselves in the feet on a regular. Then again, you got an election soon, so that the House may change. You never know.
I mean, yeah, true. But I don't know necessarily if that's a sufficient. We don't have the time to really wait around for that.
True. I'm kind of intrigued actually because obviously elections, both your side and mine, are coming up soon. I'm intrigued to see how the House in your country shifts. Not on who wins the election because that's up in the air, quite frankly, but how the House changes to reflect it. Because don't forget, they're two separate contests. The House, though, I don't know what your country is like right now, but I'm seeing more areas. Like I mentioned, the governor of a state now has just been announced as red when it was blue for a while. I think. I can't remember where it was though. It was in a Mike Johnson article, so I don't know if it was mentioning him or whether it was something else. I could have sworn it mentioned a governor of a state. I just don't remember which one. But do you think?
I'm not sure, really.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff gets.
My question really is, based on your knowledge of what's going on over there at the moment in your country, and we did this last time and we got this wrong. Is your country starting to lean more to the left or not? Or to the right, or is it sort of still in a flux?
So I think the country overall is still leaning right, and the only reason I say that is because after people witnessed the protests that were being staged I'm going to say in support of Palestine, but I know damn well that that's not what they're supporting.
There's a question in the YouTube chat for you, by the way.
I will get there momentarily.
Right. Hello, Jamie.
But I think after a lot of more middle of the road, or people who consider themselves more middle of the road left, witnessed the progressives basically going out in support of a terrorist organization.
Oh God. Oh,
that they kind of had to reconcile with what it was that they were doing.
I'm just going to quickly insert thing here. You can still support the people of Gaza, but not support Hamas. Hamas is the problem. That's not to say people in Israel, some haven't committed atrocious crimes, and the same applies to Gaza, Hamas, sorry. But there are innocent people involved in this nonsense, and they are being dragged, and that's not right.
Mhm.
And I just want to insert, you mentioned the country's going more right. It's interesting because I saw a video in Chicago, and it was a very mixed race crowd of people at a town hall meeting who were angry because their city was being flooded by those buses.
So I've seen that video a while ago. It might be
It was only being shared in UK today.
Mm.
It cracked me up because we're talking. Do you hear a bong? No, his hookah.
No.
Yeah, I heard it as well. It's fine. He can't help it. That's not the question for you, though. The question for you from Ragamuffin: are Joe Biden and Mitch McConnell fit for office given both their age and apparent cognitive issues?
Honestly, I would say both of them need to retire. Genuinely,
I would add a few extra people to this, though. I would definitely add Pelosi. I'd add Nancy Pelosi after a brain fart she had the other day over not because she didn't want to answer it, because she intentionally tried to obfuscate. Yeah. About insider trading when she's made millions from it. I would add Nadler if he's still around.
He is.
Who was the guy that sat on the
Grassley?
Is he African American?
No. Chuck Grassley is the really, really old white guy.
Let's add that guy. There's a Democrat who's African American during the Trump impeachments. He sat at the chair of these panels, and even though he was given irrefutable evidence that this was all nonsense, he still shouted it down. Jim Jordan hammered him for it, for not abiding the process. But he was ancient as well. There are a number of people who are. We agree here that there should be an age limit and term limit, especially in America. Well, in all politics really, because I don't think this should be something you should have as a long-term, lifelong career. Because it always does the same thing to these people. It corrupts them, and they just become self-serving cretins. Although why they want to do it in the House baffles me, because you don't really. If you want to make the bigger money, I'd go for the Senate just for the salary alone.
Yeah.
But what do I know, eh?
Sorry. What was there was something else. But yes, I think both those gentlemen need to
Retire.
Retire.
Go to bed.
Yeah, because I think both of them, as examples in your question, they kind of desperately need it.
Yeah. The only time I've ever heard Biden sound cognitive, I'm going to put it in the YouTube chat, is when I see YouTube shorts of the AI between him, Obama, and Donnie. Those videos, the Voice Verse YouTube channel, they just smash, marry, kill, and it was Tupac, Trump's wife, or Spider-Man. Obama says I'd marry Tupac, I'd shag Trump's wife, and I'd kill Spider-Man. And Biden's response in this was, "Damn, you picked the man twice to marry, huh?" And I like that because his wife's apparently a man. The only with AI does Biden sound cognitive, and I wish he was like that because that is actually a very funny response. Also, he'd say he'd fuck the living shit out of Donald Trump's wife. I mean, that's funny on the face of it.
No, too old.
True, but it's the AI thing. It's just
that reminds me. There's a terrible, terrible picture I need to send you.
Oh God, we'll put it in the fit thing, and I'll see it.
I will.
I'll see it next to my futon, my ottoman thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, be very careful with the words you just used.
I was gonna say futon, and then I fumbled the word. I went to yawn instead.
Yes, and unfortunately, it came out sounding like something completely different.
Well,
Anyway.
that would be unfortunate, wouldn't it?
Definitely.
I only ask because, as a social worker for adults, I often have to assess patients with dementia, and it genuinely looks like Joe Biden has a cognitive impairment. He does. He's been in this game far too long, and he has been showing signs of degradation since he left office as vice president. Although he was showing signs in the second term, in fact. He was in his first term fairly witty still, but in the second term he started to show signs of, let's say, less inhibited movement and motions that made him look incredibly inappropriate. But yeah.
I mean, okay, everyone knows.
I've seen that image as well. Yeah, I saw it on
God.
Twitter. That's a banging image. I saw that on Twitter. It cracked me up. If anyone hasn't seen the Magic Island meme picture going around with Bill
The
Clinton on
AI.
the plane, yeah, it's very funny. It's obviously highly inappropriate, but did get Epstein trending again, I believe.
Yeah, it did.
I think it's still trending now, actually. On mine, it was before the stream, at least. Hello, SH. Hope you're well. But yeah, I think if there's a minimum age in your country, you have it in Constitution. Actually, you can't be a certain age before you have to be a certain age before you can be Congress. You have to be a certain age before
35 before president, I think.
I thought it was 50. I thought it was a little bit older than that.
I think it's 35 because JFK was the youngest.
Obama was fairly young in his early 40s. You're right.
Presidential.
I thought Congress had a minimum age as well, though.
Yeah, you have to be at least 35 years old to be and have been a resident of the United States.
How did Obama pull it off since he was born in Kenya, according to
Well,
Trump?
Trump apparently.
Yeah, I remember that because Obama once said in a dinner speech. I remember as a kid growing up, running through the fields with Donnie in Kenya. It was one of the first times he made me laugh. I thought it was good.
I mean, don't get me wrong. There are times where Obama, as an orator, he's funny. He has his moments where actually he makes good jokes.
If you watch him, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee with Jerry Seinfeld, he does an episode of that with him, and they go to drive out of the White House, and the Secret Service simply tell him, "Turn the fuck around now." They go sit in a kitchen in the White House and have coffee there instead.
There was one of them. This was a common thing. I think it was a sketch on SNL, but it was Obama trying to dip cookies into a glass of milk, but the cookie was far too large for the glass, and he just goes, "Oh, "Thanks, Obama." man, that tickled me. That tickled me in a way.
I like
that's
that,
like
yeah.
Self-deprecating humor. It's
Hey, look
too
at this,
bad you
people.
bombed
We
a bunch
don't
of kids.
always shit on people who are democratic. Although to be fair, I don't generally make it a point to, but I will admit some of them do.
I mean,
raise
when it
questions.
comes to just being like an individual who has social skills, Obama's 10 times better than Biden.
If you look at the last, I'd say, as far as like charisma, and I'm not going to say I'm going to exclude Trump here because he has charisma, but he has the right kind of he aggravates people with that kind of I'm going to tell it to you blunt charisma. I mean like a genuine very good people skills.
Mm-hmm.
If I look at the presidents before, Reagan's probably the nearest, and he was naturally good.
Yeah, and honestly, believe it or not, so was George W. Actually,
He was
George
funny.
W. He was very funny.
Bit of a bumbler, but funny.
I mean, sure, but he had his moments.
I saw a video of Reagan giving a lovely speech, and he's very calm, reading from his little cue things with his jokes, and then a balloon pops, and he, without breaking a sweat, he simply says, "You missed," and carries on with his speech.
Yeah,
I mean,
his balloon goes off. Missed me.
Yeah, and that's brilliant. I like that. It's a very natural charisma, and then you find
very,
it's because,
very funny.
and then you find that he wrote so much of it on these little revision cards, so that he could make sure that he didn't miss a mark. I like that's such a clever thing to do.
Yeah, but in terms of that whole spiel of your attention, or not your attention, but Biden's mental acuity, I do think that he needs to go home. Go to
Yes, and you're right about Trump's business acumen, gift of the gab thing. Yes, some people have the ability to blag. He doesn't necessarily. It's definitely a gift of blag, but it's a gift of blag through certainty. Yes, he's made mistakes, but he is not in a position of mistake. Now, although I did see recently, his hotel has been given a degrade. The Mar-a-Lago thing has been given a degrade, and apparently memberships are on the way down.
Yes, we did have that discussion a while ago, but there's actually a very interesting development with that.
Oh, what's that? The value of his property gone up now?
Kind of. So that's part of a New York trial where actually Donald Trump was sitting in recently, within the past week, a couple days ago, actually.
Was that the one where he got told he was given a fine inadvertently?
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Because he had gone out and basically said that the person sitting next to the judge was extremely partisan. Now, then Donald Trump gets put on the stand by the judge, and the judge asks him, "Who were you talking about?" Under oath, Donald Trump says Michael Cohen, who was on the witness stand at the time. And he says, essentially, "I don't believe you. You're being fined," which is kind of nutty because, well, a lot of reasons. One, you are basically, as the judge, accusing the person of committing perjury.
Without any proof.
Would you be seeking that as a charge, Your Honor? Because you have no real.
Okay,
kind of beyond your thing.
I need to be on his remit. I would say that because I didn't know this wasn't actually the part I was going to talk. That wasn't what I meant actually. Judge cannot accuse in this country. They can't just accuse you of something or ask you something and then say, "I simply don't believe you." They have to have something to prove it. They are not there to prove. They're there to judge when they have the evidence for or against it. They cannot make a ruling without it. And the fact that they've done that speaks volume. That is beyond the judge's remit, and they should be immediately disbarred. Disrupt, whatever it is, they should be removed because that is not what they're meant to do. And the thing I was referring to was that he had on his website there was still a mention of somebody that he wasn't meant to have mentioned as part of a gag order, and it wasn't.
Sure.
It was removed from social media, but it wasn't removed from the website where the tweets or the posts were still embedded, and so he got a $5,000 fine for it.
Okay.
Means fuck all really, because he's got a property worth $2 million.
Well, yeah, too. So more or less, the point that I was getting to was it was under that court case where Mar-a-Lago was devalued from its almost some $1 billion status
1.8, I believe,
to 20 million, which is absurd. And would lead a lot of people to evacuate from that area if that were true, because oh no, that's you. What even is the the reduction in value by doing that?
It's a percentage that is quite obscene, to be honest.
It's like thousands of percent down, right? Because if you're looking at 2 billion, you're looking at what, fucking 8 zeros, 9 zeros, to 20 million, 7.
They are, by the way, they cannot. I don't know who they had value the property, but I just want to point out some of the places
usually.
Okay, well, let me just make the point I was going to make was that in New York you have an island of properties that are so phenomenally expensive and so small. Yet you have determined that his property and the vast size that it is comparative to the space your very wealthy places are, is worth something akin to that of some farmland. Yet it is a renowned hotspot for wealthy investors. They don't get to make that decision. They cannot determine that unless they know the area. They're New York. They're not Floridians. So who on earth is making that judgment really?
I mean, yeah, you've got it's a person who has an agenda, who is upset, and that is exactly its entirety, right? That's all that it is.
True. It's quite embarrassing, really.
So unfortunately, what that comes down to is, well, there's a person with a gear to grind, something like that. Yeah, something. An axe to grind. Sorry, and like that's everything. Like that is their entire shtick. They have nothing else besides that piece. They are just upset that Donald Trump exists. When we know this guy is partisan, we have seen already evidence of, I mean, a lot of his. I don't want to call it malpractice, but it's almost that. Like,
it is
his lack of ethics.
It is it is in that context a malpractice. It absolutely is.
So I mean, yeah, I mean, there's not really much else to really pretend on that one. I mean, if the guy doesn't have, well, what he needs to, he's on a witch hunt. He's genuinely on a witch hunt, and Donald Trump is not allowed to basically say that it's bullshit. And I think that's, if it's not illegal, it should be.
I'll be honest, it comes across as shenanigans, but then that is often how we've seen the New York ones, where they're trying desperately to find something to stick.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't look good. It really doesn't.
Yeah. And so, of course, that's what we then get to observe when we move into things like, well, what we are currently seeing in New York. But an important piece to all of this that is still definitely worth mentioning is that Michael Cohen perjured himself.
So I'd heard that. Yeah. I was like, you've got to be kidding me, right? Like, how have you that? He's already screwed. Why have you double screwed yourself?
Well, okay, remember, this guy is a liar. Like, fundamentally, he has always been a liar.
Yeah, we did. I remember that years ago when we first discussed him.
Mm-hmm. But basically, he was either lying before Congress or he was lying in court. One of the two had to be true. So, cross-examination comes, and they ask him, were you lying then or are you lying now? He answered, well, he's lying now. Okay, cool. So you're admitting to have committed perjury. And he goes, well, I guess. He didn't literally say that, but that is essentially what was said, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The prosecutors had their opinions and that, but imagine this going before a jury, right? Imagine just what that would look like. Oh, so you're a liar. In fact, you're admitting to lying before Congress, but you're being honest now.
Yeah.
Yes. Why don't I believe you? It sounds too convenient that you're lying now because you have something to gain from this one, whereas you didn't have anything to gain from the last one. I don't know. That's kind of where my brain's at.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, then you look at everything that he has said, and this whole trial being that, oh, well, who was responsible for inflating Trump's worth? Cohen was the one who was hired by Trump to basically do a lot of his stuff. That was who his lawyer was for a long time.
Yeah.
So if Cohen did things, that were improper, then that's not Trump's fault. That's his fault. So whoopsie daisy, Cohen may have just absolutely screwed that case again. Shock to no one that Cohen, everything he touches gets destroyed. So, yes, that is what's going on, at least on that front.
Okay. So I guess unless you don't know about it, Have you seen what has been going on with Jamal Bowen, who removed warning signs before pulling the fire alarm in the House office building?
So I knew about it when it happened, but I had no idea of any other situation that had happened, regarding a video or anything like that. That
So-
was news to me.
The video is in our server. It's one of
Right.
Ranting Monkey's tweets. The
Right.
video is tweeted by Jack Posobiec.
Pasobic.
Thank you. The IE throws me.
That's fair. But yeah, no. I mean, before I had seen the video, it was news to me. I hadn't seen that reported anywhere. It was very flown under the radar. But I guess the question then becomes: so what was your goal? What was your goal there, sir?
Yeah, I'm kind of curious what the bloody goal was.
Like, did you want to, stop the count? Stop the vote from happening?
It doesn't help the situation, does it?
No, it does not. And in fact, it makes him look really, really bad.
So what is the full context of this? Because I just want to be clear on this. I've only
Okay.
seen... Who is Jamal Bowen? What the fuck happened?
So Jamal Bowman, at one point, had pulled the fire alarm when they were doing what was it, September 30th, where they were doing a vote for speakers, and he was on his way to do the vote, is what he said. And when he was on his way, apparently he ran into the door that is very clearly marked alarm will sound if door is opened, and he opened it. And then when asked about it, he was like, "Oh, I didn't know."
But he took a sign off a door.
Yep, he did. That's true.
Like, how can
I'm
you
a
not
little
know?
upset. I'm a little upset that he only had to pay $1,000. $1,000 fine and a written apology to U.S. Capitol Police was his only sentence, I guess, punishment.
I do believe that is election tampering, and therefore he should be. That should be a vastly more serious offence because he's actually interfered with democracy.
I agree 100%.
And I do believe examples should be made and set, and not just an excuse given for why you cannot punish somebody for doing something that is so, quite frankly, reprehensible. If that happened in this country, that person would be suspended from Parliament. They'd be barred from ever being allowed to hold public office ever again.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, though. Who's going to hold him accountable? We didn't have a speaker until, yesterday.
No, you had a deputy one.
Yeah, that's true. But they had very limited powers by contrast.
True, but I think it should be held in lieu. I think they should be punished when the new speaker is sworn in. I just think they should be thrown out. They shouldn't be allowed to stand ever again, because that is genuinely an absolutely despicable thing to do.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely beyond reproach. That's not. It's
not acceptable.
Strictly not unacceptable behavior to be so not callous but so brazen with your disrespect that that's how you are going to handle things that you don't like or that you don't want to happen. Is you going to pull the fire alarm so that everybody has to leave? Like, what? How long did you expect this to go for?
I will, for those who are interested, I'll put a link in the chat of the tweet. With
And
the
also,
video
this
in
was
it.
not the speaker vote. This was the vote on the government funding bill.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Now, Michael in the chat says if he can't read that, then he's too incompetent to be a politician. Yeah, I have to agree simply because you're expected to read a lot of things as a politician. God forbid you can't read the "Do Not Open" sign.
Also, signs
And-
that say "Do Not Open" are fairly obvious. There was one in his hand as he took it off the door.
Mm.
I'm sorry, they stand out because the font, the lettering, the colours.
Mm-hmm.
You can't make excuses. $1,000 fine. Like, he can just claim that as a business expense.
Yeah. And that's taxpayer money that
And
he
yes,
has to
Ragamuffin, the video I've linked from Ranting Monkey is him removing the sign and then pulling the fire alarm.
Yeah, that was the other thing. Like, it wasn't even him opening the door. It was him actually pulling the fire alarm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I want to point out that we had such a large conversation over, and I say we, but like the people had such a large conversation about the Capitol building and the amount of different cameras that were in there, because all this stuff for Jan 6 was all part of it was all captured on Capitol cameras and all this stuff. Why the hell would you assume that there wouldn't be cameras posted at a door?
Again, this guy should be thrown out of office for disrespecting the office and the position of Speaker. He interfered with an election, and therefore he should go to prison. No, he should definitely be kicked out of Congress, though.
Yeah, no,
I do not agree that anyone that's willing to do that should be allowed to hold office, because you now know they will interfere with anyone else in higher office if given the chance.
Oh, 100%. They clearly have established that rules don't matter to them. They don't care about what you have to say.
Agreed.
And they will do whatever they desire as far whatever it is that they desire as far as they are concerned. If you do not play by their rules, then I guess go fuck yourself. And that is essentially what he displayed. And this is, I don't want to say I'm shocked, because I'm not, that the Democrat got upset and then did something egregious. I'd hate to say that it's out of character, but it's not.
Hashtag not all.
A lot of them. After all, we still have. Hang on. Let me check to see if Rashida Tlaib is still flagrantly supporting Hamas.
Ilhan Omar is.
Oh, I know she is.
Because I've seen a tweet or two. Where is it? Basically, U.S. Congressman Max Miller, Palestine will be turned into a parking lot. Quote. Ilhan Omar, this is what is condoned by our colleagues in Congress. First it was Lindsey Graham, now Max Miller. You won't hear a single condemnation not from Congress, media, or any leader of consequence. For once, can people say they condemn calls for completely wipe out Palestinians? I think they're referring to Hamas, but I think it's because, the quote, he wasn't referring to the US wanting to turn Palestine into a parking lot. No, it will be what happens if this doesn't stop.
Right, and not only that, but let's all recall where it all started, and ask yourself the very simple question of who went in first and who killed civilians.
It was those paratroopers, wasn't it?
It was, and
those lovely, lovely sightseeing tourist people with guns.
And this is the part that gets me every time. Stop airstriking Gaza, they yell as they launch rockets.
They're only saying that because the freaking Iron Dome is almost impenetrable.
Almost, but not enough apparently. I think it is wonderfully shocking to me how much audacity is displayed by individuals who are among the opinion that there needs to be a ceasefire into Gaza.
I saw the EU want
okay, cool.
The EU want one so they can send in aid.
Yeah, no, that is completely valid, though.
Yeah.
I think that is perfectly acceptable. Here's the problem. they have a whole network of tunnels. Hamas does underneath Gaza. How do you think they're powering the lights? Fuel.
Mhm.
So Hamas, the organization that is technically in charge of the government of Gaza, has fuel, has resources clearly, um, but appears not to want to use those resources for the people of Gaza.
They don't care about them. They're a terrorist organization.
Yeah, true.
They want their own little caliphate. That's all they want.
Yeah, but okay. So then you ask the question, and you go, oh, okay. Well, I guess it's not all Palestinians, but fuck those guys over there, huh?
Yep.
Yeah. No. The fact that we even have to discuss it out loud
Yeah.
about what's going on in Gaza as far as oh, Hamas is not doing X, Y, or Z, but then the people are shouting "Free Palestine" as if the Palestinians are the ones who. I mean, the Palestinians are the ones who are getting the brunt of the retribution,
Yeah.
and it's not their fault.
I agree.
They just happen to be there, and the people who are supposed to be helping them, the ones who are in charge of their government, decided, I really don't wanna. Because you are not helping me fight the enemy, and that enemy is the same enemy that has been against the Muslim population since 900 AD. Oh, electric motorbike.
Ooh, big dick energy I heard there.
I think it's a child.
Go figure, they make all the noise in the world then.
Yes, of course they do.
Children to be seen and not heard.
Yes, true. But yeah, so you have an entire group of people who could be helping the people. Like I almost would maybe have to check my opinions if the individuals in Hamas were actually assisting the people of Palestine. But they're not, right? They're not. But I would have had to actually, think about my opinion about that whole thing, because otherwise, I mean, what leg do I really have to stand on if they're actually doing work and good work?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I can't necessarily fault them for that, but here we are, and that's not what's happening. Now, of course, we have had some people who have been released.
Yeah, I saw the lady that shook the hands of Hamas, and people getting really cross about it. I'm like, they treated her with respect, and she was shaking their hands as a sign of respect. She was just proving a point here that it is possible to get through to some people.
And not only that, but even if she was treated well, hey, look, that's a victory. We take those. we take if it's a small victory, we take those.
A win's a win. Please that's all I think.
Yeah, exactly. And also the two hostages that they released were 79 and 84.
Yeah.
Okay, at the very least, we had the people who I was the most concerned about being hostages, being elderly, and probably sick, being released. This is a good thing.
In the chat, Shadowband asked, why is this a Western issue? Do we really need to go back to the Middle East for Israel and spend at least another 2 decades fighting pointless wars? Who funded Hamas? So the reason why is because people are desperate to keep Israel as Israel. And because they want to be seen looking good.
Yeah. I think there's more to it, though.
I'd like the simplified version because then it doesn't feel as complicated.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Why is this a Western issue?
The West created Israel.
The West also has had ironically, actually, it was the UK.
We like to make things. We're good at empires.
Was it the Balfour Agreement or something like that?
Something like that. It was after World War I, wasn't it?
it was an agreement that you guys had done in 1917 to basically say that Palestine. This was League of Nations. Palestine would be a place for all Muslims and Jews, essentially. Actually, specifically, the Balfour Declaration said that it was going to be the home of Jews.
And they had to agree to it because Britain was like a force to be reckoned with back then.
I mean, you guys did just fight against the Ottomans, and that was who you took that from. Technically, yeah. So
it's because they're pussies.
Well, they lost.
Of course, because they're pussies. They couldn't handle our chavs.
Your chavs?
Mate, they're smack and bitch up, mate.
God, I hate that accent so much.
Fucking twat you cunt.
I'll tell you more about that later.
Fucking what, mate? I'm throwing him off, by the way, with this. I love it.
But yeah, so I mean, why is this a Western issue? Because honestly, if it's not though, if we just acknowledge that this isn't our problem, then we basically get to look like the people with all the power in the world without any of the stuff to back it up, which I don't like that as being the truth, but I mean, it's partially true. We have established, in the US at least, we've established ourselves as the people who get involved when things go haywire. One would be hard to argue the fact that we have a formidable stick, and that if somebody did not agree with us, then our stick gets to come out against those who otherwise would have, not wanted to.
Yeah, no,
deal.
I get you.
So, I mean, we've created this over the last century of our being a thing.
I would say we know Trups and I on this channel have discussed many times the concept of world police, bottle of water, and we agree that America shouldn't have to be that, but America, no offense intended here, is partially to blame for being it.
Yeah, true.
But that doesn't mean they should still be it. And I've said multiple times, I don't ever believe during my lifetime there will ever be a peaceful accord or resolution in that area of the world. I just don't see it happening.
There won't be.
There won't. Not unless there's a demilitarized zone like North and South Korea, but it encompasses nations instead of like just one 2-mile strip of land. I don't see it happening.
And we had discussed this 2 weeks ago too. The area that they're fighting over has such a long history,
vital importance as well to their faith and their homes.
Right, and there's like almost nothing that anybody can really do to prevent that from being the case.
Yeah.
So there's not really much that we can do as a result of this being the situation.
Agreed.
Which I mean, I don't like it either as much as anybody else does. But it's just the truth. Now, where do we go going forward, though? You still have a group in Hamas and in China, which is actually currently occupying areas in the Mediterranean where we previously had all of our strike teams.
Yeah.
You have the Chinese, which have moved themselves into that position at this point. So we can fix it. Like we can handle this problem, but we need to actually have somebody who's got the balls do it, and that's where we lack.
Well, didn't your president go to Israel recently?
Yes, but I'm more referring to it in a sense that we need somebody with the balls to actually flex, like an actual military might.
God, by
If
now,
if you're gonna do it, do it.
by
Don't
now,
pretend.
Obama would have at least ordered a drone strike on Hamas. Come on.
I mean, yeah, true. But like, you can't have it both ways. Where we want to be separate from the people involved, and also not.
Yeah, no, I get you.
We can't have it both ways. We either have to be involved or we have to have literally nothing to do with it, which means that we would only ever like we wouldn't use our JSOC guys to go in and get and get any of our hostages back. Like that wouldn't be part of the deal. Like we wouldn't do a lot of things that we do across the world. So I pick and choose what you want, because
I think
you may not like it.
Fubar, you have an idea, but I'd like to embellish on it. You say Glass Jerusalem. I'm not entirely a fan of that. I think we should instead level it and turn it into one gigantic Starbucks.
I mean, that is an option.
I am joking, but by all means, turn it into something that is non-religious, or cut it out and send it to the moon. There we go, problem solved. I'm kidding, of course, but someone's going to realise they could not, and you know what? I don't care. We have hit the 1 hour mark, so we're going to end here because Trups has to go and do stuff.
I do.
Are you here next week?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
my clocks go back this Sunday. So I believe that means we're an hour closer together?
I think so.
If I'm going backwards, does that not mean I'm closer to your time? Or does that mean I'm further?
It depends. When my... this is the best kind of birth control right now, by the way.
Honestly. So, if someone in the chat can confirm it, if my clock goes back this Sunday, which it does that not mean I'm closer to Trups by 1 hour? If that's the case, then obviously, then next week's stream will be at 8:45 my time. But that's all right. I don't mind that.
Yes. I believe so.
If Trups is here, obviously I'll know what I'll do is on Monday, I'll message him and go, "What's the time where you are?" And then when I've got that time, I'll work it out.
Yes, and unfortunately, we don't line up as well as we could have. But yes, that is.
Sorry, your country are trying to abolish daylight savings anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
We are not
Yes,
putting
we are.
it here because we don't care enough. Anyway, thanks everyone for joining. We really appreciate it. If you did enjoy the show, don't forget to like it. This will be uploaded to our Rumble channel and on Spotify tomorrow. Thank you again for being here. Is there anything Trups would like to say before we finish?
No.
Perfect. Second night, Trups.
Good night, Trups.